No, Linda.
No.
I got a quorum.
I know.
Don't confuse me.
No,
I thought you were talking about somebody else. I'm calling this meeting to order, the joint session with the Gates County Public School System and the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I recognize Board Chair Sally Ryan.
Thank you. I need a motion for us to go back from recess.
A second.
Mr. Felton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Hightower? Yes. Ready?
Yes.
We are ready to go into session.
Thank you, thank you. I would like to welcome the school board and all the participants in the audience from the school board to our meeting. We look forward to a vibrant meeting. I just want to say for you have a microphone, we need you to use the microphone when you speak. So we're live streaming, so we need you to speak up. What I'm going to do first is let people introduce themselves as far as the members of the school board, and then the members of the Board of Commissioners, because this is a joint session. And even though we know each other in this building, maybe someone online that does not. Okay? Board Chair?
My name is Sally Ryan. I am newly elected as of 1 hour ago, Chairman of the Board of Education.
Okay.
I'm Leslie Brown, just a plain old board member.
Okay.
Ronnie Riddick, board member.
Good evening, Amanda Highrecker, board member.
Okay. Superintendent?
Dr. Barry Williams, Superintendent, Gates County Schools.
All right. Okay, commissioners and guests at the dais, starting with our county attorney.
Pitt Godwin, county attorney.
Emily Truman, County Commissioner.
Linda Hoffel, County Commissioner.
Althea Riddick, Board Chair.
Jonathan Craddock, Vice Chair.
Brian Keith Roundtree, Gates County Commissioner, Gates District.
Scott Sauer, County Manager.
All right. Is your clerk here as well? Thank you. Okay. First order of business before we even get started, we need to approval of the amended agenda. It's at your seats. The only change is we combined the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Steve Harrell, succinctly so that when he rises to his feet, he doesn't have to keep going back and forth. And at the bottom, you'll see the School Capital Reserve Fund will be County Manager Scott Sauer. Those are the changes as for amendment. So I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
School Board?
We need a motion to approve the amendment to the agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we approve the amendment to the agenda.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. One of the persons on the agenda, Ms. Shantae Jordan, is she going to join us, or someone's taking, okay, okay. 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 Again, I want to welcome everyone. I have a statement, long statement, that I want to make just to make sure and ensure that people understand the citizens and whoever's watching and whoever's in this room why we're here. We are very attentive to making sure that people understand why we do what we do and the way we do it. Okay, so I'm going to read this, and this is upon a purpose of the meeting. And these are comments from the board chair, Dr. Reddy. Ladies and gentlemen, while December is a time for holidays and fellowship, this afternoon we are here to conduct the people's business. Our first joint meeting in 2023 on May 8th at Gatesville Elementary School was follow-up to the superintendent's submission of the Board of Education's budget proposal for fiscal year 2023-2024, which included a current expense budget for operations with a 30% increase of $887,520 above the fiscal year 22-23 budget. For the taxpayers, this would have required a 9-cent tax increase from 84 cents to 93 cents, which was not acceptable. During our initial conversations with Superintendent Dr. Barry Williams, he shared that in recent years, the Board of Education rejected his recommendations to control costs and move forward with adding staff and increasing expenditures beyond what the school system could afford. At the joint meeting on May 8th, I stood before the Board of Education and those present and stated that your Board of Commissioners has a fiscal obligation to protect the taxpayers, and that the Board of Commissioners will ask many questions about the academic performance of all schools. When our two boards met again on June 6th in these chambers, it was clearly stated that the Board of Commissioners does not want to see this situation occur again. As elected officials, we are guided by the 1975 School Budget and Fiscal Control Act, which includes, among other provisions, nothing in this act shall be construed to place a duty on the Board of Commissioners to fund a deficit incurred by a local administrative unit. At the time of the budget submission, the Board of Education shall also submit to the Board of County Commissioners in writing the academic performance of the schools and the administrative unit, including the school performance grades of each school, including any schools identified as low performing and continually low performing. The Board of County Commissioners shall have full authority to call for, and the Board of Education shall present the academic performance information at a public meeting upon the request of the Board of Commissioners. These criteria are not an attempt by the board chair or any of the commissioners to be controlling or pursuing personal or individual agendas. These criteria are provided in the North Carolina General Statutes that we as elected officials have taken an oath to uphold. The Board of Commissioners has met repeatedly with the Board of Education to understand the problem, to look at options to assist the Gates County school system, and to provide a one-time non-recurring appropriation to help our community as we work through these issues in a positive manner. Chairman Felton at that time reminded us on June 6th that this has been a traumatic period for the school board, administration, and the faculty. And the memorandum of agreement prepared by the superintendent and county manager was evidence of our united focus to move forward. The memorandum of agreement was approved by both boards on June 8th. Again, the general statutes provided for the establishment of the Capital Reserve Fund and allow for the transfer of these capital outlay funds to the school system with approval by the Board of Commissioners. And most importantly, the general statutes provide authority to transfer capital outlay funds to the school system general fund for current expense purposes with the following requirements. The Board of Education may amend the budget to transfer money to or from the capital outlay fund to or from any other fund with the approval of the Board of County Commissioners to meet emergencies unforeseen and unforeseeable at a time the budget resolution was adopted. When such an emergency arises, the Board of Education may adopt a resolution requesting approval from the Board of Commissioners for the transfer of a specified amount of money to or from the capital outlay fund to and from some other fund. The resolution shall state the nature of the emergency, why the emergency was not foreseen and was not foreseeable when the budget resolution was adopted, what specific objects of expenditure will be added or increased as a result of the transfer, and what objects of expenditure will be eliminated or reduced as a result of the transfer. Subsequently, on June 9th, the Board of Education adopted a resolution detailing the significant decline in fund balance of the Gates County school system as follows. $1.2 million fund balance for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021, $945,933 fund balance resulting for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. $692,720 appropriated fund balance required for the fiscal year 22-23 budget resolution. $248,803 projected resulting fund balance for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, estimated by the school finance officer at the time the budget was presented for fiscal year 23-24. With this resolution, the Board of Education committed to address these expenditure trends and take corrective action. The school district has made a commitment to maintain an adequate fund balance. Chairman Felton's letter of transmittal on June 9th expressed the Board of Education's commitment to continue the newly established pattern of working together on a regular basis to plan, to inform, and collaborate with the county commissioners. On June 14th, the Board of Commissioners approved this resolution, approving the transfer of capital outlay funds in an amount of $828,000 to operating funds to replenish the school system fund balance and to address the financial needs and operations of the school district and approve the corresponding budget amendment. This evening is our first opportunity to meet jointly and review our progress in achieving the objectives set forth in June. And I'm aware that there have been some very preliminary discussions between the county manager and Superintendent Williams about proposed land acquisitions and expansion of the high school, but tonight is not the appropriate time for this item. The citizens and taxpayers of Gates County are still asking questions, and they deserve a full explanation of our efforts to live up to the commitments made by both boards just 6 months ago. And this afternoon, we will hear these reports, have an opportunity to ask questions and have a conversation about the journey moving forward to serve all of the constituents, students, and taxpayers of Gates County. Quite simply, we must ask if we have fixed the problem, the budget problem, what measures were taken, what the impact for students and staff, and where do we go from here? And it is a pleasure to welcome Mr. Steve Harrell, the school system new Chief Financial Officer. And I think this is a bit of a homecoming from you. I think you've been here before in Gates County. As board chair, I helped prepare this statement because I want the citizens who are here in this chamber or listening or will hear this conversation that they have the history. You know, we just didn't show up here, you know, and you heard me lay it out. So all the conversations that people are having and what happened, what didn't happen, this is what happened. These statements were taken straight from the minutes of all the meetings and interactions we've had. We're glad you're here. We're not going to jump on you, and we're just going to ask questions after you make your presentations because we want to move forward in a positive way. You have heard this board say that school system, Gates County school system, is one of our most precious infrastructures. And we're going to do everything we can to support you as we have in the past and support you going forward. But we must understand the path forward. That's my opening statement. And this is being live streamed, and let me say this because some people don't understand. Even though they may not watch this in real time, it's archived. You can watch all our meetings. That's why I read things. Not that we don't understand, but you always try to communicate so those that don't understand do understand. So tell your taxpayers and your constituents, if they want to know what happened at the meeting, they couldn't be here, go to YouTube. It's there. With that said, I'm going to go down to review a memorandum of agreement, June 2023. County Manager Scott Sauer. If you just follow the agenda, and I hope that if you don't have an agenda, they're on the front table, if you want to take one with you or follow along.
Thank you. It seems like it's been longer than 6 months. I mean, it's good to be around the table with everybody. And again, I'm really indebted to the work of Dr. Williams and providing information and helping us develop this memorandum of agreement that hopefully accomplishes several things. One, it creates a historical record of the collaborative intentions, actions, and the reasoning of both boards for the path that we are about to follow. It also documented certain targets as the two boards deliberated about what amount of a non-recurring allocation might be appropriate. There was quite a bit of calculation, primarily by Dr. Williams, on what the trigger point should be, because we had hoped to see the funding for small counties, of which Gates County qualifies, to receive a significant increase in the next biennium state budget. And it was released in, I think, the third week of September. We both put our heads together, and it's about a 600-page document. The memorandum of agreement had a trigger point that if the small school allocation for Gates County increased by at least 40%, that would have been $619,000, then we felt that that would have been an adequate influx of new revenue to help the local school system out and not require the allocation from the Board of Commissioners. However, the amount that was allocated for Gates County and all systems, they're between 1,300 students and 1,700 students. They did it on a staggered schedule based on the student population. The amount of money appropriated by the state for this allotment was $1,774,700. That was about 14% above the current allocation, so that was an increase of about $226,000. So the reversion clause was not triggered. The money remains with the Gates County Public Schools Treasury, and now we move forward. And thank goodness the state came through in so many other ways with allocations to the Board of Education, the Board of Commissioners, for the sheriff and law enforcement. So I'd say budget-wise and legislatively, we've all had a very successful season.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Sauer? Now we have a commitment to continued improvement by Superintendent Dr. Barry Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Dr. Riddick, Commissioners, Madam Chair Ryan, Board of Education, and guests. In the spring and summer of 2023, Gates County Schools asked for additional funding above level funding, as we do each year. The request was essential for the 23-24 school year, as the school system was burdened with increases to the federal minimum wage, increases in retirement, health insurance, and teaching positions paid with non-recurring funds. Through our collaborative efforts, the county commissioners were able to release a portion of our school capital reserve fund to assist us with our request. In turn, we are bringing in millions of dollars in grant funding to make improvements to our schools with no match required by the county, alleviating additional funding requests for capital projects. Currently, I am preparing grant applications to be submitted to DPI for renovations to Buckland Elementary School and T.S. Cooper Elementary School for a combined amount of approximately $5 to $6 million. Again, the grants require no match from the county and will allow us to make much-needed improvements to both schools. If we can get this funding, it will ensure that all of our schools are updated at no cost to the county or to the citizens. Through our collaborative efforts, don't want to say that. In the spirit of collaboration, Gates County Schools is pleased to have this opportunity to meet with you and to share the status of our school system. Gates County Schools is one of the best school districts in North Carolina, as our total focus is on the education of students and the educational setting for students. The collaboration of our boards and administration is an example of how working together towards a common goal benefits us all. At this time, I would like to ask for our directors to share with you and the community information about the school district with Mr. Stephen Harrell, my Chief Financial Officer, starting first. Mr. Harrell, would you please come to the podium?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mrs. Sauer, Madam Chair, Board members, Dr. Williams. We'll talk about the document I just handed out in a minute. In front of you, you have your budget book for 23-24. And we're going to go through that briefly just to give you the lay of the land for our budget for this year. On tab 3, you'll see your local budget. One thing that I've done in my career is to control spending is I departmentalize budgets. I found out coming in, we didn't really have a departmental budget. It was just kind of a budget. So I took the local budget, which is, you know, my bread and butter. I protect that at all costs if I can. And departmentalize, redid it. And as you see this, of course, I've got two pie charts. The breakdown with departmental is your first breakdown. Your second breakdown is your purpose code, which is how I'm audited at the end of the year. But as you go through this, you can see each department has their budget for a total for the year of $3.363 million. That breakdown is county appropriation of $2.95 million, fines and forfeitures of $35,000, and $375,000 of fund balance. Now, historically, in my previous LEA, I always budgeted fund balance, but it was a security blanket, but I never used it. And so that is one of the things, and I know that that everyone, when they look at, say, you've budgeted fund balance, they always kind of draw back. But that is one of the, it's just one of those things that's there. I promise you I will not spend it unless absolutely necessary. All right, as we're going to go through these other budgets, I've got capital outlay is your next budget. That is comprised of $200,000 of county funding. And I have the carryover to make the balance of that budget at $244,112. I took our priority list on our capital outlays, and as you can see, as you look through that list, you'll see that that's also been kind of departmentalized as far as segmented out. So that kind of keeps us focused, keeps us on track on what we need to do from July 1 to June 30th. Our state budget, of course, that is the budget we wait for every year. Sometimes they're early, sometimes they're late. When the state money finally hit, it didn't give us all, like in small county, that we wanted, but they did increase that, which was a welcome sight. That is increased around $200,000, which was a great. From my point of view, it was great because that's one of those things where I can take that state money and put it into expenses where I don't have to put them in local. Your federal budget is made up of your federal grants, ESSER funds. The only ESSER fund we have left is ESSER 3, which runs out September 30th, 2024. And that is comprised, that is broken down by purpose code as well. Your local restricted is tab 7. That's your funds for your Medicaid and grants such as that nature, JROTC and grants of that nature. Daycare is tab 8, which is $377,768,000 for the budget for the year. These are revenue expense budgets. And community center budget is Next, at $362,736. School nutrition is last, but not least. It is $1,006,100 for the year for school nutrition. Toward the end of tab 11, I listed a potential risk for the school year. Our charter schools are, I probably don't have to tell any of you that charter schools have kind of hurt the LEA public schools. Some charter schools are good, some are bad in my opinion. We had one in Bertie County that it broke my heart to write a check for every month. They were not doing what they should do. Some are better than others. But they hurt LEA public schools. Our reduced ADM is also another issue because a lot of our allotments are based off of the ADM of the school, the kids in the school. I'm hoping, just like the board is, that the ADM levels off so our state funding will not go down any further. Out of district transfers or potential risk, rise in EC costs. Now, this is something that's happened in the last 2 years, and it exploded last year. The state normally keeps up with us on the EC expense side, and normally, historically, you always have extra EC funds at the end of the year. We didn't have any extra funds at all. As a matter of fact, it bled into local, which is one of the things that kind of shocked me because normally that never happens. It bled into local over $300,000 last year.
Will you explain the EC so people or whoever's listening understand?
Yes, ma'am. These are the expenses for exceptional children, and historically, their needs are greater than your regular students. But there's a cost associated with that as well. And the cost has kind of exploded last year because we have companies that are hiring teachers, but they are operating like TTF Holding. They're operating almost like a conglomerate. And so they charge exorbitant fees, like $80 per hour. It's more or less twice the expense as a regular person or teacher would be in that classroom. So that is one of our tasks at hand and goals going forward. We are trying to get rid of companies like that and work within house to, if we had to pay an extra stipend, we pay somebody there that we have to absorb that expense, and they can do just as good a job because TTF Holding and the companies like that, they more or less do everything virtual. And when you're paying over $10,000 a week, if not more, it breaks my heart. But that's one of the first things that we have attacked since I have been here. Retirement, hospitalization rates, those historically have gone up. They continue to do so. And also the utility rate increases. Future planning, the goals that you see in front of you, paying once a month versus twice, increasing elementary school ADM, maximizing your classrooms, having your teachers not be kind of disjointed where you have some classrooms with 10 kids versus some with maybe 20. You want to have every classroom maximized to the fullest. So this is future planning. It's one of those things. It's just whatever school system does, and as your ADM declines, it's whatever school system is faced. Reducing positions through attrition, retirement, and resignation. Instead of continuing to hire, if you have people in house that can do the job, you make do with what you have, because the state only funds you with so many positions. And once you go out of that realm, you know, if you have Dare County money, you're good to go. Gates County doesn't have Dare County money. So we have to operate within the parameters of what we have. The last few pages is a budget resolution that was approved by the board. And you can see each one of the funds that we've just gone over is laid out. for a total appropriation of $25,288,489.34 is our budget resolution for the year. And if you would, go back to the handout that I just handed out to you, ladies and gentlemen, and you will see, these numbers here are hard numbers. They're from audit books. This is the fund balance that Gates County Schools, beginning and end of the year, has had from the school year 2020 to the school year 2023. You can see that we had over $1 million in 2020 at the end of the year. The next year, we added $110,000, so we were sitting at $1.2 million. 21-22, you can see that we actually spent $301,000 of fund balance. That should have been an alarm bells. It should have been one of those things where you know that something's going wrong when you dip in the fund balance at that part of your year. The next year, you can see, this is the year I was talking about when you have EC costs kind of just exploding. And it wasn't all of EC costs, but it was a majority of your unexplained expenses in some of these numbers that you're looking at. We dipped in the fund balance $757,000, which left us at the end of this past year with $188,000. Now, if you have your budget that was presented to you, that 188 doesn't make up for it. So there was your shortfall. And if you turn the page, on the next page, you will see that the $188,000, which was your our fund balance, with the $828,000 appropriation, makes up what our fund balance is today. Or you can look at it another way. You can say your $945,933 plus what you put back in the fund balance equates to that $1,016,090. Your next page is an example of just kind of what we have started to do, trying to wrangle up the EC expenses. We've had, you can see that at the top, the cost of the TTF holding, those positions in yellow have been eliminated, those costs have. And we have reduced that to $200,650 from $425,000. We in-housed this, which added $28,000 more. So as a reduction just in that alone, it's $172,000, or roughly. Now, that is just one of the things that we're doing. Like I said, through attrition, we're reducing positions, we're not rehiring. That's kind of a constant for me. I never like to be top-heavy in staff in any position, shape, or form in the school system, because all your other costs trickle into that as well. Your retirement rates, your hospitalization rates. If you have extra positions, well, it dominoes into increased cost. Now, these are just a few of the things that we're doing to cut costs. And if you have any questions, please ask. I'm here to answer them.
Are there any questions from the Board of Commissioners? I will recognize you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Craddock?
so, just not caught me off guard. You said unexplained expenses.
Yes, sir.
What's an unexplained expense?
Well, maybe that was a step on my pronunciation there. The unexplained expenses are ones that shouldn't be there. Historically, EC costs have always been steady and true. Having a company come in and like almost a Wall Street company come in and start charging fees to that nature in the school system, and we're not the only ones. Many LEAs are faced with this, especially during the COVID years. Everybody learned how to do the Zoom, and everybody kind of got fixated on that. And now with the EC children in Gates County anyway, we have kind of had an influx of EC children, more so than some other districts. We still have to provide services for them. Your state funds, your federal funds usually take care of that. For me, the unexplained expense would be somebody dipping into my local for $300,000 for EC. That's just, it's like you don't pay salaries at a local unless you absolutely have to. That to me is one of those things that should always be monitored and corrected as soon as possible. So that's one of the things, it's one of the first things that I actually saw. And I think that other districts are facing the same hardship, but in Gates County, like I said earlier, I wish we had local money to supplement some of these expenses, but I know we don't. So we have to live within the parameters of what we have budgeted. That was always been my philosophy, and it always will be.
Okay, thank you. Follow up? Okay.
All right, thank you for that. I wasn't 100% sure on that, and I understand exactly what you're saying. All right, I know some students come from other counties.
Yes, sir.
And do we charge a fee for them?
We do, but that fee doesn't probably offset the expenses that we assume sometimes if they're EC children.
So I don't want to sound rude saying this, so if a EC child comes into our school system,
Right.
is it a higher rate than what?
Anytime you have a child who would be in that position, the expenses for that child are going to be more expensive. But as far as the rate, no, they're all the same.
They're all the same, okay. And with that reflects our ADM, average daily membership, coming from the outside of the county into the county. Does that come to us, like we're paying, in essence, you say our ADM is 1,463.
Right.
20 of them comes from outside of the county, and we're charging them to come to school, in essence. Is that kind of to what?
As long as they have been released from where they're living, yes.
Okay. So are we giving the school system money for that child that we're charging to come?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. I was wondering how that worked.
And like I said earlier, the state does allow you a certain percentage of EC funding, but right now we are over that limit. So what they fund does not make up for the expenses we have on our side.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question about ADMs.
Commissioner Hopler?
Over the years, we have realized that our ADM is going down. It's not a new problem. It's been going down, I think, 2000. They had a study, and it was going to be declining for the next 20 and 30 years, and it did.
Right.
What steps did we do that was going to hit sometime, and it hit at COVID when we were held harmless because our ADM was the same in 2019 for the next couple of years. They didn't penalize us because a lot of students went elsewhere or whatever.
Right.
What actions did we take in those years to help negate what was happening now? Or
I
did
can't
we
speak
do
to
anything?
that, but I can tell you what I did, where I was at before. When you held harmless, we were sitting in my previous district at around 2,200 students. And the state, they're going to let you probably no more than 2, and we lucked out of it around 3 years, they held us harmless. But it's just like here, our ADM had gone down to 1750. So that equated to $1 million. And right off the bat, I went, of course, that was my job. I told everyone, we have to make arrangements now because when the state drops $1 million from our budget, they're not going to make a big hoodoo about it. They're just going to do it because they're going to look at the numbers you have at the current year and they're going to fund you on that. And it equated to about $1 million. And if we hadn't started early enough, it could have been bad, but we had planned ahead on that notion where we made sure our staffing was kind of adequate, not overstaffed. We made sure that anything that was an exorbitant expense, we tried to limit that and just live within our means best we could. And and of course the COVID years hit, and that was one of those things where everyone did the best they could with that. The scores went down. Everybody's scores went down because just the learning curve from that perspective wasn't what it needed to be. But if you planned ahead, and I think every district that plans ahead in something like that, you can usually head off most of your unexplained expenses like TTF holdings. And I'm sure Gates, they did everything they could, but when your ADM is declining, it is tough. It's one of those things where you hope it levels off because, just because, from my perspective, it's money. And if we have more kids, that we get funded more, so. But I think everybody in Region 1 here in the Southeast probably went through some of the same things that we did. So in Bertie, but that's one of those things where you just have to try to, budget as best you can and try not to live outside what you have. And that's one of those things where it's not easy. And districts struggle with that, and I'm sure that Gates is not the only district that has struggled with that, because I know in my region with finance officers, we talk about this all the time. Well, what are you doing? How are you doing this? How are you trying to save money? Because it's we're all getting hit hard on something one way or another. And it's always a collaborative effort. And then of course I talk to Dr. Williams, and from there, and we make a plan and go with it the best we can, and that's what you have in front of you here for this current year. And hopefully our planning in the future will be even better as far as cutting costs.
Okay.
I have a question.
Commissioner Truman?
So we were discussing appropriations on what funds and such could be used for. How much of the funds are used for county stipend for central staff?
For the stipend?
Stipend for central staff, yes. How much of the funds are used for the central staff?
I don't have the exact number, but I can get that for you as far as a percentage.
Okay.
I know that, you probably have more stipends if you're trying to cut costs and keep from hiring new people. You may have other stipends added to that, but the stipends are a small price to pay versus hiring somebody as a full-time employee.
Okay. Are there any more questions for Mr. Harrell? This is very thorough, and it's a lot for us to digest. I'm looking at our finance director, Mr. Robertson, back there, so he's going to get some questions to you once we delve into this, and very well presented. We are pleased with what we're hearing about. You're addressing what happened, but you're also addressing going forward. And we appreciate the time and effort all of you put into that, this report. We are visual, at least I am. I love the colors. I love to see the graphs and the progression of where you were, and where you are, and where you're going. So we thank you for that. Superintendent, we thank you for that, and the board.
I have a question.
Okay.
Does Mr. Robinson have a copy of the presentation?
Yes, sir, he does.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go. Mm-hmm.
I had a meeting, and I'm not saying, this is just something that's in an evolutionary stage. I had a meeting yesterday with a gentleman from MyTech High. And MyTech High is and Mr. Wright maybe might speak a little bit about this, but it's an opportunity for Gates County to elevate and increase their ADM to 50 to 75 to 100 kids. And how in the world are we going to do that? A lot of kids that are homeschooled, a lot of kids that didn't come to school, not just in Gates County, but in other counties. Gates County could be the hub, and we could provide a service that could allow the transfer across contiguous counties, that could bring in lots of money for Gates County. Again, Mr. Wright and I have to explore this because there's a lot of things that you have to look at as far as curriculum and scheduling and all those things like that. But it's just something that might be an opportunity that we could look at and explore. Once we get more information about that, we most definitely will follow up with you.
Okay, okay.
What was that called? I'm sorry.
It's called MyTech High.
MyTech High. We look forward to hearing more about that as you do your research. Again, we thank you for that financial presentation. Like I said, I don't know about the rest of the commissioners, but I got to dig into this thing, more deeply. But I understood it, so I think it's going to be okay. But thank you again for all the work you put in. Thank you for collaborating with Mr. Williams, Robinson, and the county manager, and the financial staff over here. And I just want to say it's been a good relationship as they work through all these numbers and things. We know you were new, and I was aware that, y'all was working together. And we want to continue to work together, both finance departments, to make sure and ensure that we're on the right path forward. If no more questions or comments for Mr. Harrell, we'll move on to, thank you. School report cards and student academic performance, Director of Testing, Ms. Lola Roundtree.
Good evening to the commissioners and to our school board. I'm going to report on our testing and where we stood in our region and in our state at the end of the last school year. We showed some progress with testing. Of course, schools are still suffering from COVID, but the state is not holding us, they're still holding us responsible for making sure our students are progressing and growing. So for the 2022-23 school year, 4 of our 5 schools received school performance letter grades of a C, and those schools were Buckland Elementary, Gatesville Elementary, T.S. Cooper Elementary, and Gates County High School. Central Middle School received a performance letter grade of a D. School performance grades are based on a 15-point scale. The state bases those grades on 80% proficiency. That means how many of our kids passed the EOG or EOC with a level 3, 4, or 5, and 20% growth. How many of those students grew from one year to the next year? All of our schools exceeded or met growth except for Gatesville Elementary School, who did not meet growth in math, causing them a not met growth status overall. To exceed growth, the growth range is 85 to 100%. To have met growth, the growth range is 70 to 84.9%, and not met growth, the growth range is 50 to 69.9%. Buckland Elementary School exceeded growth, and their academic growth score for last year was 88.3%, so their students grew really well last year. Gatesville Elementary School did not meet growth, and their academic growth score was 69.1%. They needed 0.9 to get to a point where they would have met growth last year. T.S. Cooper met growth with a score of 78.2%. Central Middle met growth with 73.8%, and Gates County High School met growth with 74.4%. It was a major accomplishment to recognize that Buckland Elementary School, who was labeled a low-performing school at the end of the 2021 school year, they exceeded growth this last year, and they came out of the area of low performing. When compared to the 2021-22 school year, this past year, Buckland Elementary School showed performance improvement in all tested areas, both college and career, and grade level performance, with the exception of reading 4th grade, that was a slight decrease. And normally it's difficult for a school to come out of low performing in 1 year, so it was a great thing to see Buckland to be able to pull their way out in a year. Looking at the state's data, a lot of schools who were low performing in 2021-22 are still in that low performing status, and it's called reoccurring low performing schools this year. There's still some work to be done here in Gates County in our schools. as Central Middle School entered low performing this school year. Even though the middle school met growth, their school performance grade of a D caused them to be in that low performing status. They were needed to have exceeded growth in order not to be in low performing status if your school has a D letter grade. Central Middle School also has a federal designation of TSI, and that's in their Students with Disabilities group. TSI is Targeted Support Improvement, and that group, normally you don't have it in the other schools because you have maybe 10 over in T.S. Cooper, 10 in Buckland, 10 in Gatesville, and they're all fifth graders, so there's not enough in that group to make them low performing. Well, when you put them all together at Central, they have a huge student with disability subgroup, and it's very hard to get those students to meet the levels that the state is asking them to meet. So that's why they have that federal designation of TSI.
And what school was that again?
Central Middle
Central, it's still Central.
Central Middle School.
Okay, middle school.
The graduation rate for Gates County High School showed a slight decrease this past school year, and actually for the last 4 years, there's been a decrease in our graduation rate at the high school. Graduation rate is not just we had 100 in the senior class and 95 graduated. That's not how they do the cohort. The cohort deals with the students who came in together as ninth graders and how many of them stayed together those 4 years and graduate on time. So we've had some decreases in the cohort, and the state has recognized that in all of our schools, so they're not only going with the 4-year cohort. This year we'll have a 5-year cohort too, because some kids just can't make it out in 4 years. It takes 5 years. So the state recognized that, so starting this year we'll have a graduation rate for 4 years and a graduation rate for 5 years. On the regional level, Gates County schools were in the top half of the region, which consists of 18 districts in our region. In the areas, they was on the top half in the areas of reading 3, reading 5, math 3, math 4, math 5, math 6, math 7, math 8, science 5, science 8, math 1, biology, grade level performance, and English 2. Grade level performance is those students who score levels 3, 4, and 5. If I say college career, I'm talking about students who score levels 4 and 5 on their state test. Other tested areas fell in the 10 to the 18th place in our region. On the state level, Gates County schools were above grade level in the following areas: in reading 3, grade level performance; reading 5, grade level performance; math, college career ready, and grade level performance; math 4, grade level performance; science 5th grade, science 8th grade, and math 1, college career ready, and grade level performance. So with this data, I mean, it's evident that there is work to be done in our county with our students and our test scores and everything. However, I am pleased to announce that we're not tagged as a low-performing district. We have Central, who's in low performing this year. We have Buckland, who just came out last year. T.S. Cooper, who came out the year before. And the goal this year, I know we're talking with Dr. Boone, to make sure we keep those schools out of low performing, because if three of our 5 schools fall into low performing, then we become a low performing district. And that's not pretty at all. Actually, we sit right between 2 other districts who are low performing. We got one on each side of us who are low performing. So I think we're working hard with state benchmarks. We have state benchmarks called NC Check-ins 2.0, and students are assessed with those 3 times a year. The teachers are able to get lots of data from those tests. It shows them exactly which things the students are missing, what they're doing really well in. They get to look at these tests, they get to look at the questions with the students, they get to go over these tests with the students and all of that. And these tests are really, it's like questions that's generated on the regular test at the end of the school year. So hopefully we're going to see some progress with that. They have what they need to be able to see what the students need. So that's where we are with testing. Any questions?
I have a question for Dr. Williams. Who is the curriculum director? Do you have like someone that monitors the curriculum and progress and changes and things of that nature?
Yes, Dr. Tammy Boone. She's my assistant superintendent, but she's more than the curriculum director. She's over federal programs, and she also, we split up evaluations of directors, and she supervises the principals, and she does the formatives, and I do the summatives for the principals. So, she handles the federal budgets really well. She what's amazing about Dr. Boone is she's an assistant superintendent who's not afraid to go out into the schools. And so she took it upon herself to go and sit in the seat of a principal's job, which most assistant superintendents in school districts would not, because they would feel like that would be beneath them. But she took the bull by the horns, went to T.S. Cooper, and she pulled that school out of low-performing status. We had a principal that resigned at Buckland Elementary. She went straight to Buckland Elementary, no questions asked. Yes, sir, I'll do what we need to do. She went there, and lo and behold, came out of low-performing status. So she's a good right-hand person for our school system, and I appreciate all that she does. So kudos to Dr. Boone.
Okay. Another comment I have is it was a good report, Ms. Roundtree, but could you present that so that we can read it ourselves?
You want me to, okay.
With legends saying what this means.
Okay.
So I really want them to understand what we're doing here.
Okay.
And I also want to comment on the budget update or financial update with Mr. Harrell. It seems to be y'all are on task as far as what you need to do as far as the finances and instruction. One thing I want to leave with this board is that we are also, that's why we asked for this report. We are concerned with the success of our students in curriculum. So we want to keep track of that, and anything we can, not anything, if we can help appropriate some funding, we're not promising anything, but we need to know what it takes. You know, do we have certified teachers in certain areas that we need to have them so that we can keep up with instruction, so that we don't have people in the classroom that are not certified to teach that subject? That's where I'm going with that. I know we said, you know, part-time people or changing them around. I know you have to live within your means, and I hear that. But we also have to be mindful that we need certified instructors in these schools so that we can have high-performing school district. It goes hand in hand. So we've got to find a way to work together to make sure that happens, that we don't cut ourselves to the knee bone trying to save money at the expense of curriculum. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
So this is just me saying. It's like sometimes when you're over budget or your budget's not in corporate, first thing they cut is marketing and PR. That's not good because then nobody knows what you're doing. So if we're looking at solving or addressing the financial shortfalls we have in this district, we don't want to do it on the backs of the students and their performance, if at all possible. So I just want to put that out there. Yes, we want to make sure that we hold the the board accountable fiscally, but above that, we want to hold them accountable for the success of the school system. Because without the success of the school system, we're not going to have to worry about finances. So I just want to put that out there in the minutes, because I know it's being live streamed, and we're serious about not only finances, but the success of our students. That's our infrastructure. You've heard me say that before. And I see that, I'm glad they're going from 4 years to 5 years, because some students just can't make it. Even in higher education, we have a 6-year graduation rate. They can't make it in 4 years. So, but we need to make sure that the money, as best we can, from somewhere. And we're going to have some conversations about that going forward, about the performance of our school system, and make sure we're not cutting and hurting our students. And we also want to make sure that the instructors feel needed and wanted and appreciated. I hear, because when you stop filling positions, somebody's got to take up the slack. So we want to make sure that, you know, we say that from our perch. We're not telling you what to do. We're just saying, you know, as we continue this path forward, you know, let's not just focus on finances, because when you do that, the students are going to suffer, and the instructors as well. So I just wanted to say that.
I just want to ask, and you might not be the one, Mrs. Roundtree, that can answer, how many classrooms let me rephrase this. How many uncertified teachers are in the classroom?
I know we have some, but I don't know how many.
Or long-term subs?
My HR director's not here this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, she could answer that off the top of her head.
Just, you know, That's important. You have to have a body in the classroom, but you need someone who can help the students with their materials.
And that's where I was going to ask about certified instructors in essential courses such as math and biology. All subjects are important, but I know how difficult it is to find a certified person in biology and math and some of the sciences because of what we pay and because of where we are. So I just want everyone to understand that even though this is more about finances, it's also about the performance of our school district.
Madam Chair. Just listening, I see there's a correlation for low performing schools and the implementation of the assistant superintendent going in. Has she gave any strategies that she implemented to transition from low performing to high performing? And if so, could that be modeled in all the schools?
Well, because I asked her that question, because I had other districts around me that were saying, what did y'all do? How do y'all come out low performing in the year? There's no way you can cheat on these tests. These are online tests. We got monitors. We got everybody walking around, so it's not like, oh my God, they cheated on something, so the state don't even worry about that. So I did go to Dr. Boone and I said, what did you do different that hadn't been done? And she said, I held teachers accountable. She says accountability. She said it's all into what the leader in that school expects from their staff. And when you hold them accountable, they will buy into it. And they taught the kids. They did what they were being paid to do. And this is her words, and that was to teach the kids. Then that's all she could really tell me, because we had the same information that we've been having. We had benchmarks. We had the same stuff. So to come out of low performing each year from those schools, it was just more of an accountability part, I think. And teachers bought into it. That means they were excited to do some things. They had to dig into the data. We give lots of data after these students take these benchmarks. There's tons of data reports. It all depends on if somebody's going to actually get into that data and actually do something with it. And I think that's what was happening. They was having data meetings and all those kind of things. And, nobody wants to stay after school past 3:30. And I can't say I blame them. If I've been in the classroom with kids all day, I ain't sure I want to stay either. But they bought into it and they stayed. And it made their school successful.
Don't you think it was two-way street, though? They bought into what she was saying, but they also felt support from her
Yes.
and what they were trying to do.
She's curriculum, so she was able to help them to understand what they were seeing. And that's a problem that we have in Gatesville. We don't have curriculum instructors in our schools. We have maybe a teacher who has an extra planning period who can go in and help somebody, but how much help can you really do with just one period a day if you got 3 teachers struggling in their curriculum? She's asked for instructional coaches. We don't have the money. We understand that. I told them we could do car washes and fish fries, but no. But no, seriously, we do. Instructional coaches is what's needed in our schools to help those teachers who are having a hard time teaching all kinds of students, because everybody's not at the same level.
And consistency
Yeah.
with it.
Dr. Williams.
Something else I'd like to say. Right now, currently, and I sent this to the Board of Education on Friday, our current vacancies for 23-24, we have 2 EC teachers, one at Buckland Elementary, one at the high school that we need to fill. We have a K-5 teacher at Buckland Elementary School. We had a recommendation this evening. We got a CTE teacher at the high school that needs to be filled. We have a CTE teacher at the CMS at Central Middle School that was recommended this evening. We have a school counselor that we do not have at T.S. Cooper Elementary. We have an English teacher at the high school that has not been filled. We have an English teacher at the middle school, part-time teacher, New Beginnings Daycare, and of course, it is very difficult to find bus drivers. But I do have a gentleman who we put in the position in the summer. His name is Mr. Robert Jordan. He's doing an excellent job, and what I like about him is kind of like what Ms. Hoffler just alluded to. He gets out there and rides the bus. He drives the bus.
Okay.
So, if there's something going on, and that's why sometimes you don't get an answer to a telephone call at the bus garage because the bus director is out driving the bus.
Okay.
So, again,
Thank you.
that's our vacancies. I just want to share that with you.
I'm glad you did. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Roundtree. Commissioner Craddock?
So understanding the school a little bit better, I heard C and a D. Is it B and an A or? Okay. So realistically, I see, you know, with borderline, all being Cs, need improvement, central a little bit to become a C. Realistically, what is the goal we're shooting for? I'm not saying it's got to be an A, but I mean, what is a realistic goal that we can?
We have been B schools.
Okay.
We have not always been C and D schools.
Okay.
I mean, you can go online and look at the state report card that's out now. And it will show you our last, I don't know if it's the last 5 years or whatever, but it will show you our letter grades. And there was time, our high school used to always be a B school. We've had Gatesville School as a B school. And I don't think we've ever had A schools. And you get those charter schools who may be A schools who got like, you know, they go into the district and pull all the smart kids out and stuff like that. But it's not impossible to be a B school. It happens, it's just that we have not done it in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, but.
So everything I'm seeing here,
In there.
grades, what I'm understanding is it was all started kind of with COVID. That's what I'm seeing. We started on a slight downhill climb with
Yes.
COVID.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
The students not being in class, the scores going down. And we're trying to get back to
Level
we
it
haven't
out.
gotten
back up
back.
the hill
Level it out.
from where we're at.
Well, Mr. Crack, you know this as well as anybody else here in the room, that kids need to be in school. And especially kids that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. When a kid, and I heard this as a presentation, but it's true as true can be, some of the kids can tell me their electric bill. Now, to me, that tells me you've got concerns and you know what's going on, where another kid who's not in the low socioeconomic status has no clue. And so, most definitely, and you also think about what Mr. Harrell just said. He's looking at, through attrition, we're looking at saving money. So just because someone leaves doesn't mean we fill that position. So we're reducing staff through attrition. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. When you don't have these big oil wells that you have, like when I was superintendent in Colorado, and that money's not coming in where you can just spend, you have to be careful with your spending. But you also have to focus. You got to keep the main thing in the school system, and that's education. That's getting kids over the hump, getting kids to the next level. And when they get through and they get that diploma, we hope they go somewhere else. And Dr. Riddick and I have been through those conversations too as well, because then those citizens can bring things to the county that we hope would be, something that is not relevant, but something that can help us out a lot. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so state regulated, whatever you want to call it. What's the average student per teacher? Statewide, I guess you would say, if you had.
Ratio.
Or our region, is there 15 students per teacher?
Elementary
19,
schools,
20?
we just reported to the state, we had to just turn in our numbers, and we're running around 15 kids, elementary schools. 18 is the highest, that when they go and do it district-wide, there's 18. But normally around, we have small class sizes, so I mean, we don't hardly have any big classes, not even at the middle school, because our ADM is down so far and we still have all those positions. We don't have large classes.
Dr. Williams, I saw you pick up the mic.
I just asked Ms. Ryan if she wanted to say something.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you. I think we got a good picture of where we are curriculum-wise. And again, thank you for the report. Please send it so that we can, review it, and we'll send questions to the superintendent.
Dr. Riddick, something else I'd like to say, which is important to note. because Ms. Roundtree was talking about five-year cohort. So you do know that the legislators, they're still in session right now, but they're doing something called litigation leftovers, okay? So in regard to early graduation, school districts are still prohibited from requiring more than 22 credits next year. Now, Ms. Roundtree, you can correct me if need be, but I think we require 27 credits. So we're 28 credits, excuse me. So we're waiting on the state board to implement a course of study and for legislative action for the spring. So do I think a 22 credit limit is good for kids? No. I think kids need to be in school. I mean, I don't know if you can go to the military, there's jobs you can't hold, and I just don't, that maturity level, some kids can. But that's something also that we have to keep an eye on too as well. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's been a problem for years. Thank you for that. Next is the safety update. Mr. Wright.
Good evening,
Good
County
evening.
Commissioners, Board of Education. My name is Jeremy Wright, Director of Student Services for Gates County Schools. I'm here tonight to briefly discuss school safety, which you would imagine is one of my biggest responsibilities in my position. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit from the curriculum piece to our kids and our staff being safe within our school systems. I also get to come up here and not ask for money, but hopefully get good news to bring money into the district. School safety, as we sit right now, we are in a much better spot than we've been in several years. Over the past 3 years, I've been able to get grant funding to update camera systems and buzz-in systems, and last year we had the ability to put halos at our high school, which are vaping detecting devices. With this upcoming grant that I just submitted on November the 11th in the amount of $223,000, would be able to bring in some more equipment, hopefully. Still waiting to hear back, but since school has started this year, we have conducted 2 lockdown drills within our school system. We are using something now called the Rave Panic Button. Our staff in the schools have the ability to put that app on their phone. It's something that the state has provided to us and all the districts in North Carolina free of charge, so we are definitely utilizing it. We go into these schools and we do these drills, and everybody within the system in that area will get an alert on their phone. And then we're still working through all the kinks and trying to figure that system out, but that shows us areas for improvement. Part of the money that I've asked for would help with things such as we would like to move the halos into the middle school. They have been a big success at the high school level. We hope to get them to the middle school because, believe it or not, it's a problem there as well. And these devices don't only detect vaping, but they detect loud noises, such as an aggressive attack in a bathroom or, God forbid, a gunshot. They can detect that as well. So these alerts go out to all administration during the day. I get them now myself. So I am looking to upgrade some of our metal detector devices at both the high school and middle school. They have come a long way in metal detecting devices. They are now systems. They're systems that I think can help us in the school system as far as getting kids through faster, using at sporting events. And now they're so lightweight and mobile, you can pick them up and move them around. And they work off batteries. There's just some amazing technology out there now that is very important that I think we get here into Gates County. The high school is always one of our biggest concerns because of the number of buildings, the exterior doors. So this grant would hopefully help us put 12 access systems at the high school for 12 exterior doors, which would be on a swipe card system where you'd either have to have a badge to get in or it would be on a timed release, which means during a bell it would unlock and then within 5 minutes it would lock back up. So those are just a few of the things that we're looking at. I always need more radios for communication. Me and the district are still working on the AEDs, but I am hoping to get some funding to help do some safety training devices, which would help teach our students and our staff how to use these AEDs. And, you know, I look forward to getting information back on this budget or this grant, and hopefully we will know something pretty soon.
Let me say that the AEDs are in the ARPA fund budget for the county. We're going to provide those to the school system. I asked our county manager, matter of fact, this week, to get an update on where that status is. So we'll be talking with you about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good report. Any questions,
I
Commissioner?
have a question. Mr. Wright, this is a question concerning safety and health. I serve on the Trillium Board, and, you know, the Trillium Board covers substance abuse, behavior disorders, and also mental health. And I'm aware of the Roman Gabriel project that Director Bobby Lowe was discussing about. Could you elaborate on that? And is there any chance that we will implement that in our school system?
I've actually emailed him yesterday. So yes, we are looking, it's a fentanyl opioid program that we are hoping to bring into to all the schools. And it's almost like a pledge for students that they will not partake in opiate use, which would include fentanyl, which I think it highlights tremendously because that is one of the biggest issues right now. That's free coming from Trillium. Not only that, I'm looking at doing some first aid mental health for youth training for our staff members. We have a training coming up which would help give us a facilitator for child abuse training within the district. And this grant money would also bring in threat assessment training with a system called DriftNet, which would allow us to keep track of any threat assessments within the schools, and it would travel with that student throughout. So I'm very excited about the program you mentioned. I just emailed him yesterday and heard back, so we're hoping within the next week or two we'll begin that program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Williams?
You know, something else I would like to add and brag on my colleague, flanking my right here. But at the football games, you know, we care about what's going on in our system. But when we have football games or extracurricular activities, we have people that don't live here in our system and in our system coming to our games. And so I just want to say a big thank you here to Mr. Wright, who has been at every metal detector with me, making sure that people empty their pockets and put things in the little change cup and their cell phones and do the things that you're supposed to do. He was the key contributor to implementing the clear bags. And so he stands out there at the gate and says, no bags at all if you don't have a clear bag. So that's a big deterrent, and we have the sheriff's office there who does a good job as far as doing wanding if we do find something that we shouldn't be there. So again, that's a big thank you for Mr. Wright here.
One other thing that I would like to mention, hopefully this grant will also help with our transportation department. I've met with Mr. Jordan, and he's asking for some funding to help make our buses a little more visible. So there is some signage now that would make our buses a little brighter, you know, have a little bit more lights on them. You know, here in Gates County, we get a lot of fog delays. And, you know, you would be surprised on how many calls we get in the morning that a school bus or somebody passed their stop arm. It's unfortunate, but it happens quite a bit. And so we're just trying to make sure that these, you know, our buses are a little bit more visible in the morning and the afternoon when it starts to get dark. And hopefully we can curb some of that activity.
Okay. Thank you. Good report. School construction update, maintenance director, Mr. Johnny Green.
Good evening, commissioners and board members. My name is Johnny Green. I'm the Gates County Maintenance Director, Gates County Schools Maintenance Director. One thing I wanted to mention, we've talked about the negatives from COVID here with academics. If there's any positive to it, we have been able to had the potential to apply for additional funding for our buildings, our older buildings and facilities. Dr. Williams and I have collaborated on that quite a bit back in 2022. As you all are aware, he applied for several grants there that we were awarded. Now, when as Dr. Williams and I got together and decided what areas or what portions of the schools we mainly needed to address, we looked at our 5-year facilities study that we're required to turn into DPI each year, which shows the critical needs we have at each campus. So as we decided what to put on those applications or request funding for, they were the main areas that we looked at. Those things were roofing, they were windows, they were mechanical systems, because as you all know, our buildings, though they're very structurally sound, the windows, many say at Buckland Elementary, T.S. Cooper Elementary, they're original to the school. That's a 1950s construction. High school, 1960s construction, original windows. We still use a 1960s radiator system in our high school. So we've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to apply for some of this funding that's been available from the state. A lot of this has come from the North Carolina Education Lottery. What I wanted to do today is give you an update on what we've done or been able to accomplish so far with the funds that were provided for Gatesville and Gates County High School. The needs-based capital school fund that Dr. Williams was awarded, we received in 2022. Summer 2023, as you all have ridden around the county this summer, you've probably seen major work going on out at our high school and at Gatesville Elementary School. At our high school, A.R. Chesson Construction coordinated the replacement of 4 roofs at Gates County High School. Tar and gravel roofs were replaced with PVC roofing membrane on the agriculture building, the art room, and the old gym. The original PVC roof on the Performing Arts Center was replaced with a new PVC roofing membrane as well. The roof insulation was also replaced to meet current North Carolina building codes. So what they did is they went down and completely removed these old roofs and went all the way back to the original steel decking and replaced the insulation as well as put a new membrane on that. The big advantage of that new membrane is when we have a leak, it's not like walking around on a rock parking lot. That's basically, I don't know if you all had the opportunity to go on top of a tar and gravel roof, but they put rock on top to keep the sun from destroying the asphalt and the material there. So when you're looking for a leak, it makes it very, very challenging. But this PVC roofing membrane is much easier to find a leak in. But in doing so, they took it all the way back to the decking, replaced the insulation, and put the new membrane on those 4 roofs at Gates County High School. Also in the summer of 2023, the tar and gravel roof on the older portion of Gatesville Elementary School, as you all know, that's the portion that's over across from the Dollar General, which is occupied by the school's daycare and pre-K programs, was replaced with the PVC roofing membrane as well. The roof insulation was also replaced to meet current North Carolina building codes. Replacement of the existing tar and gravel roof on the gym was also bid, but will not occur until summer 2024 due to lead times for new HVAC equipment for the gym. What we're seeing right now, there's so much money available throughout the state, is that everybody's trying to get this work accomplished at the same time. So there's issues getting materials, HVAC materials as well as electrical materials are 2 of the more challenging areas. Some of this equipment has had as much as a 26 week lead time, so it's been very challenging to, or we're working on trying to work around those delays in getting materials. The main 2-inch water line and taps in the older portion of the building here at Gates, we're still talking about the older portion of Gatesville Elementary, were replaced with copper water line. There have been issues with water drainage around the older portion of Gatesville Elementary since the new building was erected in 1998. An underground drainage system was installed behind the building to transport water from roof drains and ponding water to the storm drain system in front of the campus. This work you probably didn't see from the road, but contractors went in, they put in piping behind the building to take all those roof drains as well as areas behind the school that didn't drain well, and it carried it on out to the road so that we didn't have that ponding and standing water. Starting in September 2023, plans were developed by Pinnacle Architecture for a new classroom addition, major mechanical renovations at the high school, mechanical systems at the high school now. We call the new gym, which that's not being worked on, but I'm going to tell you how quickly things age. We still call that the new gym, but that's already, I think that's opened up in January of 2010. So Things age quickly. But the major mechanical at a school system, the new addition, the administration addition, and the math science classroom wing in the back were built in 1991, I believe. So we're over 30 years old on that mechanical equipment out there as well. But through this grant, major mechanical HVAC renovations will occur at the high school, 3 science lab renovations, and window replacement for the Gates County High School campus. The new addition will extend from the front of the existing Performing Arts Center and will include 2 ROTC classrooms, a band room, and 4 additional classrooms. There will also be storage for ROTC and armory. This addition will be used to replace the existing mobile classrooms that have been in use since the early 90s. Those trailers, those mobile classrooms were bought in the early 90s, and I'm sure at the time the school system said, well, this is just a temporary thing until we can add additional space. But here we are in 2023, and those mobile units are still there and in use. On October 24th, 2023, a pre-bid meeting was held by AR Chesson at Gates County High School so that prospective contractors could tour the campus and provide questions before bidding. November 21st, AR Chesson accepted bids for all scopes of work for the Gates County High School new addition and renovation project, with the exception of mechanical and site work. Pinnacle Architecture is currently working on plans to replace older windows and doors on the older portion of Gatesville Elementary School. The HVAC equipment that serves the gym and makeup air handling units for the cafeteria as well. So the architect firm that we're working with is currently finalizing plans for work that we hope to have performed in the summer of 2024. The challenging part about all that, as I mentioned before, is the lead times on a lot of the equipment, such as electrical and mechanical. But if all goes well, we hope to have window replacement and mechanical, which is HVAC systems replacement at the high school this summer, as well as start on that new addition on the front of the PAC. It's a lot of information in a short window of time. Do you all have any questions about any of these upgrades or any of these prospective projects?
We done. I see Dr. Williams is.
I don't know if you said this, but we're, Mr. Green and I, with this money that we got from the needs-based public school capital fund, is 5 brand-new classrooms, art room, band room, and with that $200,000 that I went to the GA and got, that's $200,000 extra on top of helping the project with science supplies. Then I got another $200,000 for the Navy program. But something else I was wanting you to let the commissioners know is about how hard you're working with the tennis courts of getting them fixed, please.
That has been a tremendous challenge. I had a contractor who decided that they were going to, or gave us a quote to replace the tennis courts in early, I believe it was in March of last year, February, March. The intent was to come out and renovate the courts in July of this past summer. July came along and that contractor called and said, I'm behind. It's going to be first part of August before I can get here. Well, our tennis season as well starts, or high school women's tennis starts they start practice in August. So that was going to be a challenge anyway, but he had pushed it out to August. Well, August came and I'm going to be here and be here in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks came and I'm going to be here and it'll be 1 more week or 2 more weeks. Well, he never got here. And that season runs from about April to really 1st of October, the timeline that you can work with the materials that are used to renovate that court. So at this point, in the year, it's not like we can do anything with it until April of next year. So what we're currently doing we've met with another contractor, Mr. Rabian, and I met with another contractor, I believe it was in November, who's giving additional estimates to renovate the courts. Dr. Williams has some grant funds there provided by the OBC Foundation, Blocker Foundation, to assist with renovating those courts. And So we're just trying to find a contractor that's within our price range, I think, and willing to commit to it and do a good job. This previous contractor as well, he and his father had worked on the courts back in 2015, and they'd done a good job with the work, so I really hoped that he would follow through. That was one reason as well that I I felt like he would come out and address the situation, but he failed to do so.
Okay. And grants expired, so
Yes, it
this
did.
tennis grant, it expired, so I went up and just begged the Battle Bets and the OBC Foundation to extend it, give us some more time, but just because of the situation that we're in, and gracefully they did it. Another thing I want to brag on Mr. Green real quick before Mr. Sauer speaks. Mr. Green is always prepared. And so I've got these two needs-based grants, which I'll need your signature on, Dr. Riddick, but we're always shovel-ready. And you have some school districts that get awarded $20 million or even $50 million when they're wanting to build a whole new, brand-new high school. That money is reverted back to the lottery because they haven't done it, and I believe they only have a year to do it. When we get the money, we work, we make sure it gets done. So
Okay.
I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Green. We'll be talking with you. Mr. Sauer is going to talk about the School Capital Reserve Fund and the Community Center transfer to county.
Very briefly.
Very briefly.
The School Capital Reserve Fund, as the fiscal year closed June 30 of 2023, and these are unaudited figures, reflects a total in that fund of $1,455,547. This, as Mr. Robertson reminded me, is a perpetual fund in that the revenue structure is prescribed by the General Assembly, where they've restricted two portions of our local sales tax to go into this reserve fund, and it's basically forcing county governments to help save for a rainy day when there are critical capital needs for a school system. So that fund continues to grow. It grows slowly and steadily, but all of our projections work well, that we still close the year better than we thought we would have, even after the allocation of the $828,000. So that is in good shape. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say publicly a big welcome to Steve Harrell. I had the pleasure of working with him many years ago in another situation, and there's not a finer person out there, and I commend Dr. Williams for finding a way to bring him over here with us. Item next is the community center transfer to the county. As I've had an opportunity to read minutes going back a couple of years, and commissioners have pointed it out, at the end of the state grant-funded Parks and Rec Trust Fund programs, there was a transition established and committed to literally a quarter century ago or more, whereby the operation and maintenance of the community center is going to transition to Gates County government in just about 1 year. It'll be December 31st of 2024. And we are already trying to make preparations, and this will be one of those projects that will sit on Mr. Warren Perry's shoulders as we move forward. And just a sideline, we've had our facility assessment on the existing community center, so as we determine what the future of that facility and/or programs are going to be, we still need to be cognizant that there are some significant continuing leaky roof problems, substantial. And Mr. Green took me out a couple of weeks ago, and we got high together. He put up a ladder and toted me up to the top of the community center and wanted me to see literally firsthand some of the challenges in keeping things dry and well maintained there. And he's got a roofing contractor that he'd like me to talk with to see if there is any other potential avenue that we might look at for that project. But I'm very grateful that Mr. Green would work with us so closely on that. That's all I have.
Okay. Dr. Williams?
I just want to say I didn't leave someone out on purpose, but I have a director over here who does a fantabulous job. That's Mr. John Smith.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He is our technology director, and he was talking with Mr. Wright today about obtaining some more funding. We got another grant that's going on where he can get some, we're wanting more computer labs. Is that not correct, Mr. Smith? And so just kudos to Mr. Smith. He is really putting technology, STEM education in the schools. And, you know, STEM, I look at it, strategies that engage minds. And so he really does a good job. I want to say thank you, Mr. Smith, for all that you do.
I want to say thank you to John. I call him John, Big John. He's been over here with our new IT director, Scott Pierce, and we're working on broadband, making sure that all schools are anchor institutions with this broadband deployment. And so he's been over here, and they've been collaborating to make sure that the schools are covered when we're done with this deployment in Gates County. And I'm pleased that we collaborate on a lot of things because we want to make sure that you have the access to broadband and enough gigs that serve the schools. And we know we have some challenges, but thank you for continuing working. And since I mentioned that, I was in a meeting on Tuesday, and Gates County has the highest completion rate of deployment in the 15 counties. We are 93% complete with deployment. And they are very, when I heard that, I'm like, yes, those trucks are not running around here for nothing. And so I want to thank Erna Bright. He's not here, but he's the boots on the ground, and he's working with John and with Scott and with Mr. Curry back there, our tech back there, on this deployment for the county. This has been a good meeting, impactful meeting. I think we know where we need to go, and we're going to get there together. I thank each of you, board members from the Board of Education, for coming here as we prepare to start looking at the budget for next year. We have a path forward. We're going to have, please, that Mr. Harold is here because he's going to be working with William as we try to get this budget for next year and make sure that we're doing what we can with the school system. We thank each and every one of you, the commissioners, very engaged, asking questions. I see the wheels turning, and we will be asking more questions. We'll send them through the county manager to the superintendent and to Mr. Harold. We will have questions because this is a lot to digest in an hour and a half. But you did a good job. Are there any comments from the board members, Board of Education? Yeah, you all met out, I know. You all had a meeting before the meeting. We got a meeting after the meeting. So I'm going to ask for, before I ask for the motion to adjourn, there is, I think, snacks or something over at the community.
We have a light dinner for all participants at the Cooperative Extension Building, and it's really going to be fantastic, so we hope you'll stay and enjoy it with us.
Go right back where you came from, right across the road. We have food for you, so we're going to do that. And all of the commissioners, we have a meeting at 6. So gut it down and come on back over here so we get our regular meeting.
6:30, right?
No, 6 o'clock. I ask for a motion. Oh, okay.
Dr. Riddick, I'm sorry.
Okay.
In the past, each December, we would allow our employees to come for a dinner. And since COVID, we were not able to do that.
Oh.
But on December 14th of this year, we will have at Central Middle School an appreciation for your services that you've given the Gates County school system. And that we would like to, as a board, invite you and the other county commissioners, county attorney, and county manager to come from 4 to 7 December 14th.
At Central.
I know Ms. Hopper, you've been there.
So that's December 14th from 4 to 7 at Central?
Correct. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's not it. Food, no. Don't worry about that. First thing they asked today, where are we going to eat? Now, they want to eat all the time. Now I ask for a motion to adjourn this joint meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
That's why I was trying to catch that. I just noticed it earlier. It's been advertised everywhere at 6:30, and I just noticed it. Okay.